Hello, everybody. I thought that I would come online and do a live so I can give everybody an update on our lives and how Emily and I and the kids are doing. We're doing fantastic, actually. We took the whole last week and went on vacation. Went to West Virginia. I went to a huge country fair out there. It was a great time. Went fishing, caught some trout, got a fishing license, so everything is nice and legal. You know me, I'm always law and order. I obey the law. And then we went to Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. Um, that was a good time. Williamsburg is close to Newport News, which is close to Norfolk. It's right there in that peninsula of Virginia, so there's a number of beaches. And we went to this really beautiful beach called Yorktown Beach. Really scenic. I got a lot of pictures and video, and I got to piece them together and post them online. But I wanted to do a quick live. 'Cause the rooster's happy we're home too. Wanted to do a quick live so I could connect with all of my fans and followers and viewers and people who have been following our story and rooting for us, to let you know that the movement's moving full steam ahead, that nothing has changed. I have been in contact with excellent constitutional lawyers, and we're moving forward with our cases. We are going to bring a reckoning, a legal one, and hold everyone accountable that was a bad actor. Most of the people who follow me, they know how corrupt and abusive and lawless CPS and social services and DSS and these acronyms they go by are, and that they can kidnap your children on nothing but an affidavit from a social services employee without evidence or conviction or due process of law. They're able to take your children from you. And it looks like we have our first viewer here. Welcome. I'm just talking about an update to our status and how everything is going with us. Anybody who has a question, please feel free to ask. It's kind of open mic, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has for me. Even if you ask them in the comment section, feel free to ask me questions about the situation. I'm happy to answer them. I've been helping families a lot, frankly. I've been helping a lot of families with their plights with social services and with DSS and with CPS, and helping them navigate through the mess and the maze that these manipulative scumbags put them through. I hope that whoever is following me by now knows not to contract with the government, not to do business with them, and not to open their door. Honestly, if they don't have a warrant, if they don't have an order from the court, they should not be even on your property, and you should not entertain a conversation with them, much less sign a piece of paper giving them rights. Whether you're going, don't agree to anything. Don't agree to do therapy with them. Don't agree to anything that's not court ordered. And the court won't order anything unless you are breaking the law. So number one thing is don't break the law. The number two thing is have a calm and peaceful mindset so you can protect your family. Please feel free to ask me any questions that you have about our situation. I came back online to give my fans an update about what's going on with my family. We're all together, and we're all moving forward with the reckoning that we're bringing to CPS and social services. And I hope that everybody will follow me and stand with me and share our story, because I'm no longer just standing up for my family. I'm standing up for all families. Yeah, so Title IV funding is a strong driver for kidnapping people's children and trafficking them into foster abuse situations. Foster parents, and not all adoptive or foster parents are bad, but the vast majority of abuse happens in foster care. People who have been through the foster care and adoption system I have yet to find one that speaks highly of it. I have yet to find a child who came up in foster care or adoption who spoke about how great it was. Everyone has a horror story to tell. And the people who get into foster care and adoption, by and large, don't mean well. I don't believe in the goodwill of humanity. I believe people do things for an agenda they have, for their purpose, their own personal mission. Whether that is getting a government paycheck or riding somebody else's child hard in terms of labor and abuse. Um, when you become a foster parent or an adoption parent, you basically get a PhD in psychologically abusing these minors. And I feel so bad for these children that are placed in homes that are not the kin, that are not their family. Like, how is this possible that we're taking children from functional homes based on hearsay and then putting them into, like, for example, our family, our two daughters were put into a home with a single father of three boys without trying to put her with our daughters with our family, with my mother, my brothers, or Emily's family. They whisked them away without an emergency, without crime, due process of law, no criminality. I don't have a criminal history. I'm an American citizen who served honorably in the U.S. Navy, and this is what I get for it. I get ideologically and politically driven CPS and social services agent who don't agree with my mindset and philosophy, don't like that I'm a strong, outspoken male, and they want to separate me from my woman and take our children away because they feel as though they have the resources to be able to do it. And they didn't think that I could fight back. They didn't think that I could get my kids back. But I did. We got our kids back at the 5-day hearing. We kept them at the 30-day adjudication. But this organization, CPS and social services, is so lawless, so corrupt and abusive. They appealed the case before it was adjudicated. 2 weeks before it had been adjudicated, they appealed the case because they knew they were losing. Without any new facts, without any new evidence, they can appeal a case. I couldn't do that. You couldn't do that, but they can. Why? Because they're an arm of the government. They're an arm of the family court system, and they're hoping for a friendly judge in the appellate court. Which, if there's a judge worth their salt and they have any wisdom to them, you don't need to be Solomon to see that these guys are corrupt and abusive AF. Yeah, they do have PhD online where the Western Governors University will also fund the Title IV. Can you believe that? I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, I believe anything at this point. I mean, these guys are out here kidnapping vulnerable kids from poor families based on nothing but hearsay when they're really neglecting children that are actually in abusive homes, that are actually in abusive situations, you know? And every day I'm hearing stories about how foster parents are and adoptive parents are abusing these children that aren't theirs, you know, forcing these children to wait hand and foot on their biological kids. You know, it's really a terrible scenario for these children that are being ripped out of their homes. You know, they're vulnerable and poor. These CPS agents will come to your school, their school, talk to them in private, tell them, you know, if you speak against your family, we'll put you in with a rich family. You won't have to do chores. You're going to get everything that you want. Eat whatever candy and sweets you want. Watch as much cartoons and anything else you want to do. And there's not going to be any accountability or chores. Doesn't that sound great, little person? You don't need your poor family who's struggling to put food on the table. We can put you in with this rich family over here. And in America, being poor is a crime now. They can take your kids away from you for being poor. You know, I'm standing on the side of poor people because nobody is there in their corner. You know, like I have the means to defend myself. God has blessed me. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to forget what they tried to do to me and my family. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be the voice of these poor fathers and mothers who have their children trafficked into foster abuse situations. You know, like at this point, I'm no longer just fighting for my family. I'm fighting for American families. Because this tyranny and government overreach will come to your door. You know, most people don't think this could happen to them. Let's see, what was said? I think I missed something. Diana said, yeah, they are liars and deceivers. They are, Diana. Um, they will falsify evidence. They will lie. Um, and they will do it with a soft and peaceable voice. They will do it sounding as though they're right. They'll sound like they're kind and speak articulately about it. And they'll lie about you and plant evidence against you and your family and rip your family apart using taxpayer dollars. When this happens to a poor family, it's overwhelming. It generally does rip that family apart. You know, it's hard enough to form a family nowadays with everything that's going on in society today with the confusion of gender roles and everything else. It's so hard to form a family and try to have children and raise an American family without having the government reach into your family and rip it apart. I mean, you already have a hard go at it trying to keep ends meet, make ends meet and hang, like keep that marriage fire burning, keep that flame strong. And then they come in here and they try to rip your family apart and try to turn, the woman against the man. They see that as being a vulnerable point. And when they can turn the woman against the man, then they take his protection and his resources away from her. Now she's a sitting duck. And I've heard so many stories of women going to CPS and getting their children ultimately taken from them because CPS turned on them. And that's true. They don't want you to have your kids. They want your kids in the system so they can get tons of funding from the government, from you. They can make you pay child support for the children they kidnapped. Isn't that a slap in the face? It's like being charged for the bullet that killed you. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that our government can come into our home and take our children from us, but we can. We went on an awesome vacation last week. We went through West Virginia. We went to Busch Gardens, a country fair, and Knoebels. Says, yes, I got my son back for 2 years. And it bothered me daily that they continue to do this to others right here in my town. That was 10 years ago. They always come back. So be ready always. No, I get that. And, I'm ready. I'm ready. I mean, I can imagine them standing in their departments drawing straws on who's going to come over to my house. Because I make them YouTube famous. I mean, Kelly Hedrick, she had to turn off her social media after our encounter. They know that if they come over here, I'm going to plaster their face all over the internet. I will buy those ads necessary to make sure that everybody sees them. What was that? I missed it. It says still fighting now. So you still haven't gotten all your kids back? Or do they have all of them? It's crazy to me that they can come and take your children because they feel they know better how to raise your kids than you do. You don't have them back yet. I hear so many stories like yours, Diana, and it's heartbreaking. I hear so many families who have been betrayed by this system. There's only one son. Do you get to communicate with him? Do you have contact with him? I always feel bad for people whose children were taken when they were infants because they can reprogram those children. That's why infants are so valuable to this trafficking network, this CPS and DSS and social services trafficking network. They love infants because they can reprogram them. They won't remember their parents. If you take a child when it's an infant, it won't remember its mama. Like a 10-year-old, when you take it, it can put its foot down and say, I want my mama. I want to see my mama. I won't do anything until you take me to my mama. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to do it. They can put their foot down. But a baby will never know who its real mama and papa were. A lot of these children are stolen from their families unjustly without due process of law based on hearsay evidence that is unsubstantiated, and because they don't have the wherewithal or the resources, they don't know how to defend themselves in court. It says, I do now, but didn't for nearly 6 years. They have institutionalized him. He is nonverbal disabled. And it sounds like he needed you more than anything else in the world. He needed his mama, and they took him away from you. And that's heartbreaking. That really is heartbreaking because no one could love him more than you. No one can give him what he needs more than you. You're his mama. And I think that a good mama is hard to find. Especially for a kid that has disabilities. I pray for all the children that are in this system, that are abused and lost. I pray for all these children that want to come home but can't. I pray for all the families that suffer in silence because they don't have the money, the wherewithal to be able to defend themselves in court. Autism, cerebral palsy, with his communication cards, he still begs every day to go home. It's heartbreaking for me. I mean, hearing all the stories out here that I hear now that I'm in this community, that how many children have been abused by foster and adoption parents. There's this one guy that I follow on TikTok, and he was sexually abused growing up by his adoptive parents. And he ended up becoming a murderer. And not just any kind of murderer. He grew up to kill pedophiles. Like he would look up the sex registry and he would go hunt down pedophiles. Random. And he became a serial killer. And he would kill these guys because of what he remembers happened to him. This is what we're doing to children now. We're destroying them. We're trafficking them from their home and their kin and putting them in abusive situations where they're going to turn into criminals. I mean, if you know the statistics, 83 or more % of children that come up in adoption and foster care end up in the criminal justice system, on the streets, or in sex work. One of these three. Criminal justice system, on the streets, or in sex work. These aren't good outcomes for these children that are in adoption. These are not good outcomes. These children would be so much better off with their kin, with their family that loves them, that appreciates them, their blood. I think that's stronger than water. I think that blood is thicker than water, and that we need to go back to basics in this country. You know, I'm a traditionalist when it comes to family values. I believe man was created to protect woman. And I also believe that a woman protects a man when the time comes too. You know, we need to be united in our cause to defend our family. So I'm just out here trying to provide an education. I'm just out here trying to provide a mindset to people so that they can protect their family long before it ever happens. I mean, it's important to consider the possibility that this could happen to you long before it actually does. People need to prepare in their hearts and in their minds for when the government comes knocking on your door based on lies and allegations from people who dislike you. Allegations from people who want to ruin your life or have an axe to grind in custody court against you. I think it's important to stand together. Everybody who has been abused, who's been touched by this system, whether you were in foster care or adoption, or you were a whistleblower or a parent that lost their child, you don't have to suffer in silence. You can come out with your story and you can tell the world what happened to you. There's safety in the light. Believe me, coming out into the light and speaking, there's a freedom in it. I believe in honesty, and I believe Americans have the right to the truth. Most people don't care until exactly, and it's too late when that happens. You know, you have to be ahead of this stuff. You know, if someone comes to your home to take your kid away from you based on lies, you don't have a chance to do that over again. There's no redo in that such a scenario. You have to have the tools in your mind ready to go to be able to deal with that situation and win and come out on top. Because what's more important to us than our children? And oftentimes they take them. They take them because they have armed men with badges that stand there and allow them to take your children. We are. And we're raising this whistle, raising this flag, and we're trying to let everybody know, but it seems as though people don't believe it until it actually happens to them. And you know, child trafficking is huge in America. It's a huge business. It's a cash crop. The government funds it through Title IV. The government is complicit in it. If CPS and DSS were really about child protection, they would be investigating foster care and adoption 24/7. 24/7, they'd be looking at these adoptive parents as soon as they take them. But they don't. They protect these adoption agencies and and foster parents and adoption parents because they're part of the system. To investigate these folks would call into question their entire system of Title IV funding and family courts. They're all in cahoots with one another. Family courts, social services, DSS, Title IV funding, they're all hand in hand in cahoots with one another. And they all derive monetary benefit from taking these children away from functional homes. I mean, I see so many cases of neglect and abuse that go uninvestigated. These children are in abusive situations in dirty homes that are full of filth and squalor. And the police are the ones who are saving them. The police are always the ones who are coming into these homes. Where the fuck is CPS in these cases? They don't actually care about children that are living in shit. They don't actually care about children that are being abused physically and sexually. They're the ones who place them in those situations. You know, I'm not saying that all adoptive parents are abusive. I'm saying the statistics show that the majority of them are physically and sexually abusive. I believe 100% of them are psychologically abusive. We, the people, never gave them the authority over our families. Never in history of this country did we give them. No, we didn't. As a matter of fact, the 14th Amendment protects us and our families from unreasonable government overreach, unreasonable government intrusion into our lives. Yeah, and it's a sick system. I mean, if you think about it, if you're a predator in the system and you like to abuse children, what you have to do is go get certified by foster care and adoption, and they will place a child with you, and now you're going to get a government paycheck and you can abuse a child. This is what's happening all the time. All the time. And anybody who thinks it's not has not been paying attention, has not been looking at the news. Anyway, I came on live today because I had a number of fans ask me about it. I had a number of fans. Oh, I had a call come in. I'm glad it didn't end live. I've had a number of fans ask me if I could go live and give an update on our family. Everybody's doing great. The baby's doing wonderful. Uh, Melanie, Emily, myself, we're doing fantastic. Roxana, getting big and beautiful. She is 6 months old now. And I have a bunch of videos that I'm going to release soon, but I just wanted to come on here and tell everybody that the movement is moving full speed ahead, full steam ahead. I believe that I am the voice of so many voiceless people. I have their prayers and hopes and dreams, tears and fears behind me, and I hope that I can do justice. I don't believe in the goodwill of CPS. I don't believe in their good faith. I believe they are liars and they falsify evidence and that they don't have good intentions. So I recommend that everybody does not cooperate with CPS, does not cooperate with DSS, because they are a lawless agency that kidnaps and traffics children into foster abuse situations. And if they were actually about child protection, they would be investigating foster care and adoption agencies 24/7, which they're not doing. Most of the abuse happens there. Statistically, most of the abuse happens in foster care and adoption. I'm not saying all adoptive parents have bad intentions, but the statistics show that the majority of them do. So children are far better off with their kin, with their family. And I'm on here just to answer any questions, and anybody who has questions for me can feel free to ask them. Want to give everybody an update on our situation because I haven't gone live in a long time. Sitting in the hot tub, it's a hot tub meditation. Hot Tub Meditation Monday. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday and enjoyed their weekend. And I need to correct you on the 14th Amendment. It was never ratified. The 1933 Social Security Act is more powerful for us, the families. I'll remember that. I remember that. I know that ChatGPT spit out the 14th Amendment as an amendment that protected the family. I remember that. But I'll definitely take a look at the 13th Amendment again as well. I think the Constitution is the greatest document that was ever penned, and a big time so because it governs our life, our rights. They come and flow from the Constitution. So it's incumbent upon us to know what it says in the Constitution. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much time on here, and I don't see a whole lot of people coming in to view it right now. So maybe I'll go back live again later on tonight. I really enjoyed having you here, Diana, to have dialogue with. It was really an enjoyable conversation. I hope that you come back and visit me on my next live, and I'll be uploading a ton of content here in the next day or two. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday, and I'm going to sign off. And remember, everybody, that tyranny against the family is treason against the nation. And we all need to band together to protect our families. Thanks, Diana. We'll see you later.